Is that you? Is that you from the last video? I recognize you. But you came back. Thank y'all so much for coming back. I appreciate it for this next episode. Welcome back to my virtual office. If you don't know me and this is your first time, I'm Jonnita, your virtual online career navigator. And this is the What's Next podcast. And the What's Next podcast is basically, it's for people in career transition. We know that career transition just it happens with life as we grow, we mature, we have different interests, we have different desires, and that just creates transition or just life just happens and it pushes us into another level of life to use like different skills that we never thought we would use, to use our gifts, to come out of our comfort zones and just take leaps of faith. So that's why we're here. That's what the What's Next podcast is about. So this episode is really talking about choosing purpose over preference, right? In our career. And this is my story. And sometimes purpose is not really popular. Sometimes it's just like preference. Like you want what you want. I got my degree. I want to work in my degree. I have this much experience. I should be doing this. And sometimes those things don't always matter, right? Sometimes it's just life happens the way it happens, and sometimes you're not using your degree, or sometimes your experience is not what gets you in the door. Maybe it's something else that gets you in the door. So this episode is definitely going to be talking about just how I transitioned from preference to purpose. So now, don't get me wrong. I do feel like my whole path was definitely on purpose. Like, I do believe God has always had a plan. It was unbeknownst to me because I had my plan, but He definitely had a plan that was bigger for me. So yeah, let's get to it. I am a formally trained writer. So I went to grad school for journalism to write. That was gonna be my path. I had spent the first all 4 years of undergrad pursuing a career path or a major that I thought I wanted. But then I realized senior year, like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and pursue my writing. So I was still studying my major, but I was all things writing. Like I'm like, I gotta get it. And of course when I graduated, I'm like, all right, I'm going straight to grad school for journalism. This is my plan. So in the middle of that, I just started to have this desire to do my own magazine. So I started working on that. So I literally had a plan. I'm like, I'm gonna be in grad school, stay here. What's this braid? Just doing them up. But I'm gonna stay in grad school, finish that 2 years, work on my magazine. By the time I finish grad school, my magazine should be like ready to just take off, and I'm gonna do me. Okay. And that was just the plan. Like it had to work. Like there was no plan B. This was what it was. So in the midst of that plan, I did start grad school. And while I was in grad school, I also ended up getting an editorial position at a very well-known coupon company that we all use today. So I stayed there for almost 2 years. So I was working my magazine, going to school, and I was working full time for this company in their editorial department. I mean, it was like perfect. It was just perfect, right? I'm like, my plan is coming together. I didn't even have to work that hard. It's great. And then, like, while I was working, I ended up, my department ended up basically changing. Like, they did a whole shift in the company. So I went from like working in a creative part of the company to working in what was called lead generation, which was kind of like marketing, but really at the base of it, it was data entry. So I went from like, oh, I like this to I do not like this. And I had to come to work earlier than what I was used to coming to work. So that was a thing. So yeah, so they changed my department. So I went from just being super excited about work, just in my own little flow, to having to basically come to work earlier, like almost 2 hours earlier, or hour, I can't remember. And I went from basically like writing to just doing data entry because I was working in lead generation. So it just took all the creativity out of my position. And I was just like, I can't be here. It's just all just didn't feel good anymore. Um, so I was finishing grad school, or almost finished, really close to completing grad school. And then my magazine was, I was being more consistent with. I'm not saying it was blowing up, but I was being more consistent in developing. I had my own little flow with my magazine. I was putting out interviews on a regular. I had some interns working with me, so it was going, like it was moving. So I'm like, okay, I'm about to finish grad school. Magazine, it's gonna blow up. It has to. I'm putting all this work in, it has to blow up. So, and I don't like work. So the best thing for me to do is to quit my job. So, like 6 months after I graduated from grad school, I quit my job. And life just, it went from thriving to surviving for sure. Ended up quitting my job, and I'm like, I'm gonna go full swing with my magazine. And once that money started rolling in, because I didn't have a plan, I'm just like, I quit, I'm up out of here, I'm tired of y'all. I can do me, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, I was very ambitious, and I'm like, I got this. But of course I didn't. Looking back, I probably could have stuck out a little bit longer and just kind of worked the plan some more. But maturity comes with experience. I'm not gonna say it comes with age, but it definitely comes with experience. So that was pivotal for me in my career path because I was very used to preference. Like, I chose everything I wanted. Like, I chose a path, and I know it was a line on purpose, but I was just very driven by my own success. Like, I wanted to be successful in this way. It had to be like this. And when I quit my job, all of that kind of just it shifted for me. And that was when I shifted from basically preference to purpose. And I became more focused on the purpose and why I'm doing something, why this position. I wasn't really big on what the title was, like, but I knew that in whatever title I was doing, I was going to be serving. And so, like, my career path shifted from like this just self ambition. I don't want to say selfish ambition, but just self ambition. Like, I got to have it, I got to do this, to more so like, okay, how can I be used to serve people? And that's going to be fulfilling for me. And I'm still going to be successful. I mean, I didn't, I had to get into that flow, but I knew at some point, like, I'm going to be successful, but I'm going to keep focusing on serving people. So yeah, so I went from preference to purpose. So what that looked like for me, like, my life went, it shifted from like here to here. Like, so I ended up, my first, I'm gonna say, service position, like serving, was, I went back, I needed money, but the opportunity came, and it was definitely a blessing at that time. I became a nanny. Still working my magazine somewhat. um I was trying to figure it out because my plan didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So I became a nanny, and I was a nanny for a 1 year old for a nice while. And that is the epitome of service. If you're a parent, or if you just work with children, like, they are mostly helpless. So you're doing everything for them. And that really was humbling for me. It stripped me of self. Like, I have to focus on this baby. I got to make sure this baby is good. That was very, like, character developing for me because I was just not used to serving anybody on that scale for the time period, like 8 hours a day. At this baby's beck and call. But it was beautiful because it definitely shaped my character, and it humbled me, and it gave me time to just really, reflect. on, what just my career path was gonna look like or what life was looking like. And it taught me to just go with the flow and not like, you can have a goal, you can write your goal in pen, but the steps to how you get there can be in pencil. You gotta be flexible. So it's just like I still wanted to be a writer, but at that moment that wasn't like the height of everything. Like, it was still what I was focused on, but I was also taking care of this child. I was working as a nanny, but that definitely taught me to be of service to someone and to really understand the needs of people. Like, because you can't lead people that you don't serve. So yeah, and then after that position, I just went into a flow of customer service. So then I got a customer service position working as I was a customer service rep for a loan company. Whew, that was humbling also. I went through a lot of character development, and that is something that I don't think people talk about, like, in a career path. Like, you can want a certain career, you can want whatever to have your own business, but there is a lot of character shaping that goes into this thing. And I realized that my character was not built for longevity. It wasn't. Like, if things didn't go my way, I was a quitter. Okay, that job wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. I quit, even though there were still things that I could have learned while there. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking like, I want what I want when I want it. So I'm going to quit. Forget y'all. But what I did also learn was that, those lessons are going to follow you. It doesn't matter where you are. You can go from place to place, but those lessons, like, they will follow you. So yeah, I worked as a customer service rep at a loan company. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I definitely learned again to serve people, to hear their needs, and to provide solutions to problems. I definitely learned to be solutions oriented. Um, that's very important too. And I just don't believe that you can serve people and be solutions oriented if you're not serving people. Like, you got to be able to walk with people and understand people and see what they really need, like being able to hear. So that definitely taught me that. And I'm still working on writing. I was actually writing a book while I was working there. So life was still happening, but my character was being super developed, y'all. So even while I was working in, customer service and not technically doing what my degree was for, I wasn't being paid. I wasn't a paid writer. I was still writing, but I wasn't a paid writer. Lessons that I learned. One, all experiences, they shape your experience, your work experience, or your industry experience. Working with different types of people and having to serve different types of people literally shaped my writing. It really shaped my heart for just caring about people through my writing. Like, and I know I had that, somewhat at first, but it really like cultivated my heart for writing and just wanting to connect with people and really like give people hope, give people, like faith, and encourage people like to encourage people to like just hold on, it's gonna work out. So that was one thing. Two, I learned the gift of longevity, right? Sometimes you got to get your roots, so it's not gonna always feel like it's good, because I wasn't a paid writer. I was still like doing my magazine, but I wasn't paid. Like, I hadn't blown up. Nobody was really knowing about me. Like, but I still had to stick to it. So, and I didn't want to quit my job because I wasn't going to have any money. So, but that just taught me longevity. Like, sometimes you got to stick things out and get roots. And just because at the beginning it doesn't look like how you want it to look, doesn't mean that it's not working for you. Because you never know where you're going. So, that longevity, piece is key. And then like character too. Like, I had to get a thicker skin. because somebody's always going to tell you no. Things are always not going to work out the way that you want them to in your career, in life, but your character has to be able to endure things. And I had to learn how to endure. I was dealing with customers who would be yelling at me about loans and stuff, and I could have just quit. Like, I'm going to quit because this customer is yelling at me. But what would I have gained from that? Okay, they yelled, so what? I'm going home at the end of the day, and I'm still gonna do what I love. Like, so I had to learn the beauty of endurance and patience. Now my patience, whew, it was low, 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 low. I'm way more patient now, but I had to learn the gift of patience and the beauty of patience and endurance. Like sometimes we jump ship before we really like hit the goal. So, and I built just even standing, I built relationships with people. Um yeah, that was the beauty in it too. Like just building relationships with people and never knowing like how you gonna meet up with certain people, later on in life. So yeah, so that character piece, longevity, letting the experience like work for you and work in you and letting it cultivate what you're really supposed to do, and just having that character endurance piece. Like that's what purpose over preference will get you, because sometimes when we're choosing preference, we're just looking at like, this is just what I want, 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 what I want. But if you don't have like those foundational pieces, what you want will not be sustained. Preference is gonna always get you immediate gratification, instant gratification. Now, I'm not saying that instant gratification will last, but it will get you instant gratification, versus purpose will take you to multiple places. And position won't matter, title won't matter, because your purpose is still working for you and through you. And like even in my life right now, purpose, which has been willing to serve and just to serve people, teach people. Like I feel like I've been doing the same thing. I've just literally had different titles. Career navigator, coach, life skills facilitator, adult educator. Like all of those literally embody the same skill set or foundation of purpose. I'm going to definitely talk about skill sets too. But it's one main purpose, and that's to serve people, to pour into people, to help people a become the person they were created and called to be. Like that's the ultimate thing, and that is taking me. It's the driver, like literally. I ain't chasing money, not money. We know money is always nice. More money is nice, but the purpose, like it's just way more fulfilling. Like even on my bad days, like I can still keep going because I'm driven by purpose and not by my preference, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So just think about that. Purpose over preference. So even like as you're working right now, think about like how you can focus on what your actual purpose is. I promise when you start to focus on purpose, the vision expands and you start to see work differently. Like I was saying, like work isn't supposed to feel like, oh, I gotta go here, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this. Like it's work is literally supposed to be an extension of who you are as a person. And I do believe that comes through being focused on purpose. So think about that, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Once again, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting in advance. But make sure you like this video, you share this video, and subscribe to the What's Next podcast. And just let me know, like, what you think. What's your feedback about this? How you feel about preference over purpose? Where you at in your career path? Do you feel like you're being pushed more into purpose? What's been your experience with just your path? I want to hear about it. And I will talk to you guys later. Take care.